For those of us who live and breathe crypto, Bitwise is a name you want to know. They've been in the game since 2017 and now manage over 10 billion in crypto assets across 30 different solutions. Index funds, Bitcoin and crypto, equity ETFs, on-chain solutions, you name it, Bitwise does it. But here's what I really recommend checking out. Their weekly CIO memo. Every week, CIO Matt Hogan breaks down what's happening in crypto, like why Bitcoin's up or down, what the big institutions are doing, and the stories flying under the radar. It's sharp, it's free, and honestly, it's one of the best reads in crypto. Find it at bitwiseinvestments.com/CIO memo. Again, bitwiseinvestments.com/CIO memo.
Binance is the world's #1 crypto exchange. Over 275 million users already trust their world-class security. Binance makes starting crypto as simple as it should be. Whether learning about crypto on Binance Academy or browsing hundreds of assets and viewing your newly created portfolio in a clear, easy-to-track dashboard, Binance helps you go at your own pace. For the hardcore traders, Binance Pro opens industry-leading services for trading professionals with fully bespoke trading products, along with a suite of white glove services for VIP and institutional clients. Need support? 24/7 customer service is on hand whenever you need it. And with some of the lowest fees and deepest liquidity in the market, it's no surprise over 285 million users trust Binance for everything crypto. Download Binance today and get started in minutes. Binance is not available in certain countries, including the US. Check its terms for more.
Hello again. We're back again for another episode of REKT Vision. This time we have the big man. We have Raoul on the show. It's, I think, the first time you haven't come on, and we're not at all-time highs. It feels more like an emergency meeting by the state of the market right now. But always
usually I'm usually the glory hanger by the goal, right? To make it look like
I've said you're like Ruud van Nistelrooy of the Real Vision community.
Yeah, but now we've come on for the emergency meeting.
This feels like an emergency, despite Bitcoin basically being at 110K, like it has been for the last few weeks, ranging. This week felt like the pitchforks are out a few times, right? After the big liquidation a couple of weeks ago, and then we went down a little bit again yesterday, and it feels like complete hysteria out there, but also people just throwing in the towel. There's a copy paste tweet that's just going around CT at the moment about people crashing out.
Rage quitting.
Everyone's posting it because it's just getting too much for people. Is that been your experience this week as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a real indicator, and I call it the monkeys throwing poo at each other indicators. It's when everybody loses their shit and starts insulting everybody on X. And I get all of these, but you said, and all of this stuff starts happening. And that's reached a crescendo yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably the bottom. And it kind of happens every time. It's like, but really the truth is when you actually kind of filter out the noise, what it is people are so desperate to get ahead. It's a real kind of, right, they all think of this as their one chance. So it's like a serious thing. But they haven't been around financial markets or volatile assets where you have to learn how to do this. And the way to do it is do nothing and stop worrying about it. But, every day they think the P&L goes down. It's like my financial future's ruined. It's all over for me. And then the next day they're like, I'm going to be a gazillionaire. I'm going to order a Lambo. It's like, just don't do any of that.
Yeah, I think comparison is the thief of joy a little bit here, because I think when we last had a period like this, which was really 2022, the whole market sold off. Like stocks weren't having a good period either. And this year, we've kind of gone sideways. Bitcoin's up 10%, something like that this year. But gold's gone higher, stocks have gone higher. And when you actually speak to people about being in crypto, it's less that, some have lost money this year, some are just having a flat year. Some have made money, but it's often just, I wish I'd put it in Nvidia. I wish I put it in Tesla. I wish I put it in gold. And the longer that goes on, the more painful it is.
I've seen entire hedge funds in the crypto space, because I've got the asset management business that invests in crypto hedge funds, rewriting their mandates to trade equities. And I'm like,
well,
this is a signal, generally speaking. And, when you say, well, why have equities done better? What's going on? Why is crypto underperformed? Why is gold outperformed? It's all based down onto the same everything code framework. So gold is currently gold used to be real rates. That used to be what gold traded on for a long period of time. It's now current financial conditions. Financial conditions lead by about 6 months Bitcoin. So when you put those up, share the chart on X, it's like a perfect match. Is it going to match perfectly in the end? Who knows? But basically, it's living in the future gold or living in present financial conditions. Equities have been living in liquidity, as have crypto. But since the Fed shutdown and the draining of the reverse repo, there's been issues in the plumbing of the financial system. So liquidity has been drained out. And equities have a bid because everybody's structurally underweight tech stocks. It's a huge problem. I mean, every survey is like record underweight tech stocks, and yet they keep ripping higher. So they're having to chase, and then you've got the 401k flows that come in by the passive investing. But crypto doesn't have that. So what's happened is it suffered from liquidity over this weird period of tightness that's occurred, which was the rebuild of the Treasury General Account and then their inability to drain it because of the government shutdown. They've got nothing to spend the money on. So it just keeps stacking up. It's $960 billion right now, and they can't spend it until the government reopens. And because the reverse repo is empty, there's no other liquidity measure they've got. So lo and behold, fucking repo market blows up or starts showing signs of stress, and the Fed have to step away from QT, and things will change a lot next year. There's a lot to come out of all of this.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, how I've been looking at the market is just I maybe was slightly naive in that I felt as though the correlation to other assets would just continue pretty cleanly, and actually I think we've just run into the 4-year cycle. I think having spoken to a number of different people, particularly when I was in Asia, it just feels like about 30 to 50% of the whole of crypto still thinks we're in a 4-year cycle.
Yeah, and I don't.
Yeah, and I don't either. But I think this is going to be the first time that hasn't happened. And we probably won't know until January, maybe late December. And this period of time, instead of us just having direct correlation to those very strong assets, actually we've gone through a period of a technical sell-off. Like we've had since July, big wallets coming in and sell it. I saw your interview with Novogratz the other day where he similarly was saying, look, all we see is big OG Bitcoiners coming in to sell. And they don't care about correlation with gold or S&P or global M2. They think that every 4 years, because of the Bitcoin halving, it's time to sell. And I think I was just slightly naive into thinking that was just not going to be a thing this cycle. And actually, they just do it every single time.
Yeah, because the issue is some of these guys, like I know some of them who bought Bitcoin at $3 and they bought millions of dollars worth. So they're sitting on billions of dollars of this stuff. And at some point, each cycle, they take more of it off.
Yeah, and the time to take it off was in this period. Yeah, I think October was kind of the 4-year cycle.
But even I guess they also don't really care if the cycle extends. It's the lifestyle chips idea is you take it off when you can, and then you're happy.
Yeah, I think, and because there's that collective thought about it, I just think it's led to this indigestion, and you've seen the correlations that we've had with most of the crypto assets to other macro indicators or other asset classes has drifted apart kind of since early summer, you'd say, because that's when you started to see this technical selling. My gut, and I've said this a few times on the show recently, is that by December, you're not selling if you thought it was a 4-year cycle in December. You would have sold before this period just now. And I kind of think we're going to have a bit of a Santa Claus rally, and we'll have a catch up December, January, actually, because I think a lot of that technical selling will be in the rear view. And then suddenly you'll have a big bit of that market go, oh wait, we're actually going to extend it. This isn't going to be a 4-year cycle. And that's why I think it's been slightly delayed. But it has been painful. The altcoin market has been mixed at best. Bitcoin dominance is still kind of kept up at around 60%. And, there's that stat that came out a few weeks ago that a lot of the top 50 is now below FTX levels. It's just not been a great period here for altcoins, which while Bitcoin has been going sideways, have kind of been trending down, the majority of them. You tend to get violent repricings when Bitcoin then breaks back through like an all-time high or gets close to it. But it's definitely tested people. And on big coins, like Solana's kind of at where it was 18 months ago. Sui 2, like ETH is touched an all-time high and then it's back now below 4K. It's like just frustrating, it
is. But when you zoom out, I'm going to share a chart just because I think it's this one. This is the chart that really kind of matters. It's like the total 3, so that's excluding Bitcoin and ETH.
Yeah.
Right. So we still haven't gone through where we were peak of the prior cycle, and it's been a slow crawl versus a speedy ramp. And this is because I think it's to do with the debt maturity got extended. So this is like a weird mid-year. Yes, I did imagine it was going to break this on this occasion. When was that? July.
Are you sharing? I don't know if I can see.
You're not sure.
I don't think I can see it if you are.
I am sharing.
There you are. There you are. We can see it now.
I thought in July it was going to break through. Not that I'd do anything about it. And then it had the big puke. But really, a pattern like this usually means that we will eventually have what we want. But it's the patience that's tested everybody. Because this has been a long period where a lot of this stuff has not gone to highs. And even then, it was January that everything else was at its highs, like Sui and everything else. And so everyone's been waiting 11 months or 10 months to have anything.
Yeah, look, honestly, I kind of feel like January, in a traditional sense, may have been felt like a top. If it wasn't for the ETF just kind of making sure that there was a continual bid for let's say Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, that felt like if you go back to what previous tops felt like, that kind of felt like one with altcoins all going crazy, narratives, like you were calling out the AI narrative pretty aggressively at that time, but it was we are everything's about to go 100x. You didn't want to hold any stables because everything was just going up so much higher. And then we've gone through this period of just sideways or downward price action. Now people are calling for the top, and I'm like, this just doesn't feel like a top. When people are like this, crashing out every single week, that's not a top. That's not Bitcoin at 110K, 10%.
No, it's when everybody's on X saying,
yeah,
celebrating each 1,000 rise.
Yeah.
Bitcoin feels great at 150,000. I wonder how 151,000. When everybody's doing that kind of stuff, you kind of know that we're getting a bit effervescent. But also, when I look at it in macro terms, is all the macro tops have come with business cycle tops or the business cycle low. They've all come with liquidity tops. Liquidity is expanding. And then when you look on a forward basis, we've got the government shutdown to reopen. That's going to open $1 trillion of flow out of the Treasury General account. We've got Fed rate cuts coming. We've got the changes to the SLR, which is the minimum requirements for banks. We've got potential balance sheet expansion coming. We've got China expanding its balance sheet. We've got the Trump tax cuts to come into place. We've got, the list is endless of liquidity that's to come. And we've got to roll $10 trillion of debt. So my view is we had this extended year, which was this year, because they didn't need to roll the debt because the debt got matured to 5 years. So we just had ongoing liquidity. And I think 2026 is going to be a banner year.
Can I ask?
I still think the end of this, I think November, December are going to be very strong here as well.
Yeah, I think towards the end of November, it's going to be well, why are you selling now? It's not 4-year cycle. 4-year cycle doesn't happen. I know you have this, the everything code, and it kind of boils down into just one asset really, which is just crypto. Have you questioned that at all though recently with these sort of moves? Are you not like, maybe tech is now going to be like
Well,
AI.
well, within like Real Vision Pro and GMI, we've had tons of tech stocks. So we've
Right.
always said my personal portfolio is much more skewed towards crypto, but the portfolio there has been, we've had fucking, I don't know how many stocks we've had up 100%, 200%, call options up like 400%. It's been a stupid easy environment in tech. But yes, the decoupling of NASDAQ from crypto has been interesting, but I think it's explainable. So normally you need to figure out why something is happening and is there real signal there? So one signal may be crypto's topped and everything else is going to fall afterwards. I get it, but I would give that a 20% probability or 30% probability versus crypto's being affected by liquidity at the margin because it's the most influenced by liquidity. And when it comes back, it plays catch up. So the alligator jaws get close to the upside.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that decoupling for a long time. It will come back at some stage. You just don't know if it comes back on the way down or on the way up. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. And you at some point the Nasdaq will need to correct, but structurally, and there used to be a hedge fund who was one of my clients based out of Miami. Every year they come on with the same trade, and every year it worked. And that trade was around about now. They come and buy call spreads and sell downside puts in every major market because the year-end rally effect is real.
Right. So go through that to people who maybe don't understand it. So call spreads would be like you think it's going to be between this and this level to the upside, but then you're also going to sell puts. And
sell some puts to make it a really cheap trade to do.
Yeah.
So a trade that normally had you just bought calls, they would have cost you, let's say, 50 cents. But if you do a call spread, it's now cost you like 10 cents because you've capped some of your upside. And then you sell some puts way out of the money for 5 cents, and the whole trade costs you 5 cents. And then if it does go up, you make like 20 times your money. And they did this trade every year. And it works because the seasonality is so strong at the end of the year. And when you've got a year like this one, where we've got liquidity that needs to come into the market, but more than that, everybody's underweight tech. I mean, the surveys come out from like Bank of America all the time. It's like everyone's underweight tech. And so we know the year-end window dressing means I need to buy tech. And then only after
on the fund manager side, though, or is that retail surely is long tech, but
retail's massively long. It's all the hedge funds.
Yeah.
Hedge funds have a gigantic short on or hedge on, and the mutual fund complex and pension funds are all underweight.
Crazy. Yeah, you can feel the FOMO in some of these stories at the moment. I'm quite big in Tesla, and it feels like the sort of thing where people are just waiting for an entry. Do you know what I mean? I love trades like that where you've got the right trade on. People just are clamoring to get in on every single dip. They never really last.
How I think of it is the market's short the upside calls, right? It's like the moment the market goes up, they all have to buy, and because they've got this mental thing that they could buy it lower and they can't, it's like that creates a great market.
And on the altcoin side, have you been taken with any new stories recently? There's been the privacy narrative that's come back.
Yeah, I mean that is interesting. Actually, I've got a call. Barry Silver reached out to me and said, "Let's talk about it." I want to know more about the Zcash thing. I think I understand it. It's a very clean narrative, and Mert has made it very clear on why. And I think yes, but do I want to deal with the volatility and the speculation at this point for the privacy? It's like, do I want the investment or do I want the privacy? I'd rather have the privacy than the investment right now because I don't know. And we've all had our hopes and dreams in Zcash a few times and it then fails. So
I was going to say, because it must have been around the last couple of cycles that you've been.
Yeah. And it's always been interesting. And the other one that's been on my radar screen, again, because Barry mentioned it, and is
Tau?
Tau, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty big in Tau at the moment.
And that the long-term chart looks good. I mean, Tau looks interesting. Now, I don't hold any of it, but yeah, those are two things that I would say are interesting.
I've been very interested.
I've done nothing. The only trades I've done the entire year was I bought some more in April and I bought again last week.
Right.
I just added
Yeah,
some
my two biggest
content.
altcoins bags are Tau and Zcash. They're actually quite similar. They're both Bitcoin replicas. They've got a lot of.
But are we worried that we're doing the same circle jerk on X again, where we all bull ourselves up into the same thing? That's what I'm worried about. I keep looking at it saying, really, are we going to do this again? Is this dog with hat? And is it this, it's all the same
Yeah,
shit.
it very easily could be. I do think with both of those coins, what I would say is there's a broad buyer base in that you have ETH people who like them, you have Bitcoin people who like them, and then you have like Solana people who like them because they have a bit of everything for both of them. I would say that Tau has actually been a bit more ridiculed by mainstream CT than Zcash. Zcash was ridiculed, but then it feels like it's got more people behind it. Whereas Tau, it was like, oh, it's not building enough on the subnet layer. But I think that narrative has shifted, and they've done some changes to the tokenomics.
Have you watched their documentary yet? Because
I watched it yesterday. Yeah,
I was going to watch it tonight with a glass of wine. But it
it's
looks
definitely worth watching. Like how it works is it's basically incentive layer for various different. It could be for anything, but it's really been used for
Compute.
AI. Yeah, but various different bits of AI basically. And you have subnets which are central, which are all doing a different thing. So like one would be an LLM, one's like an image creator, one does decentralized compute, one does decentralized storage, all this sort of stuff. And whoever basically completes the task for that subnet the best gets rewarded. So, and then each of these subnets have their own token, and the relative prices of those tokens also directs how much of the emissions of Tau they get. So it's like this like double layer of incentive distribution between both the essentially the protocols or like the apps and then the people helping those apps achieve what they want to do. They're going to, I think, shift it away from the price actually to like how much revenue each one's creating. Right. But it's interesting, and I do think it's actually pretty novel. And I think they've got their halving, which is their first halving in about 40 days. So it's like it has that sort of stuff all coming together for it. So I've been looking at it, and guys like Barry are behind it as well. Like it kind of feels like those stories are picking up people who are not just Bitcoiners. Like they're like, oh, I like this sort of story because it has all the token design of Bitcoin, but does something slightly different. And Zcash is kind of the same. So yeah, I think both of those look strong in terms of altcoins. The L1s they've been tough this year, if I'm honest. Like a lot of those stories, like it felt like we just spoke about with ETH, Solana, Hyperliquids.
So Julian has a great thesis on this. He's like, basically, the demand for block space goes up when the business cycle improves. So you just don't have massively growing demand for block space right now because there's consumers don't have that much money, they're not doing stuff, and so basically it's very business cycle driven, and the ISM is below 50, and I think that's probably makes sense. It makes sense. It's just like cloud compute or whatever it is, right? It's just infrastructure. It's technological infrastructure, and when the economy's not humming fully, there's a bit of excess capacity still.
I think that's probably fair. I think there's times where it feels as though we have far too many blockchains than we have space for them. I do think there's also been a slightly shift in how chains, the value that people perceive chains of like right now. Like it's all about the apps now. Like Hyperliquid was the prime example of that, and that's been one of the L1s that's done well. But Solana's out there, and Tolly's now creating a perp deck. So like it's now. I think the founders of these chains are realizing they need sometimes these killer apps, which are sometimes linked to the chain themselves, to like really help drive revenue for the whole ecosystem. And maybe some of these didn't think they should get involved in that. ETH obviously has never been involved in anything like that, but it's become a bit more centralized. But some of the other more like competing ones are now thinking, right, maybe we need to have our own stablecoin. Maybe we need to have our own perp decks. Maybe we need to have our own like prediction market. Like maybe we need to actually help co-build these things on our chain at the same time.
The issue is I've got with all of that, and I see that everywhere, is we're just doing the same things all everywhere. It's like somebody do something new here. Okay, prediction markets was new. Okay, great. But everybody else, they're just copying the same thing, moving DeFi from here to there to there. It's like, is somebody going to do something new and interesting?
Yeah, look, I get what you're saying. It has been a little bit like everyone now wants to do a perp dex, everyone now wants to do a neobank,
Because
everyone
they
now wants
just
to
see
do a
what
stable coin.
one thing works on one chain and everybody copies it. I mean, I guess that's normal, but still.
There has been this interest. I mean, some of the more technical shifts. There's obviously been this the payments protocol for AI that Coinbase has helped been pushing recently, X402, which I think could be relatively interesting. Maybe we'll see some interesting applications off the back of that. There's been some bullishness around that over the last month or two, but I haven't seen that many like new applications, let's say.
So here's something it's been mulling in my mind, and you'll have seen this. Every time you open OpenSea, and your wallet is a gazillion base NFT copies, right? I don't know if you've seen that. It's like it's just full of these NFTs, copies of X copy and whatever that go into your wallet. I'm like, who the hell is doing it and why? Because it's at scale, and it's somehow it's based making their numbers look good.
Well, I think Base has generally sided with the tokenize everything. We can't have too little tokens sort of view. Like Zora was their main coin, and that's like I think that tokenizes every single one of Jesse Polak's tweets is turned into a Base coin. I agree that like you get a lot of like digital junk, in my opinion, doing it this way, and it can
So it makes it look like Base has got more activity, is my point, real activity, but it's not. It's non-financial activity.
Oh, for sure. I think that's been the case with a lot of blockchains for a while. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of junk going on, a lot of boosting of numbers around some of these chains. Base is going to be an interesting one. I think that will probably come at some point next year. But they had very good earnings again this week. But I do think that one could come in the tens of billions. I think JP Morgan
Should they have a token, or should they just allow it to accrue to equity? I'm still not of the opinion that everybody should have a token.
I've been speaking to a few VCs, and that is now being like crypto VCs are kind of allergic to tokens. It feels like at the moment they're like, oh, you don't even need a token. No one needs a token. And it's interesting to see the 180 from like everyone should have a token for everything to that. L2 tokens traditionally have not been great. Like there hasn't been a lot of value creation there.
Honestly, most tokens haven't been great except L1, except L1s that survive. I mean, that's basically been the rule of thumb.
Yeah. So my view, and this may be controversial because they kind of said no straight away, was that if Base was to do a token and they really want to create value around it, they should have just done an L1 and gone down the kind of route that Paradigm's going down right now with their L1 and like try to put I know it's not novel, but like I think they could have created something valuable, at least for their shareholders. The L2 thing, yeah, I don't know. I feel like at some stage they may spin it out in the future. I'm not ruling that out either. But I don't think they necessarily need a token too. Like I don't really know what that token
does.
I mean, you could say that for so many L1s now, and in the world of stable coins. This is why I'm trying to say like there's this shift back towards having to get revenue from the apps and somehow linking it back to the chain itself. L1s I do think are going through a slight existential crisis now with stable coins, and just they are in some ways a better form of currency after, let's say, Bitcoin.
See, I don't think about the L1s as currencies outside of Bitcoin.
Right.
I just think of them as a token share of the value of the network. It's a technology. I think the whole currency thing just screws everybody's heads. You can't have 50,000 currencies you're transacting. It's just stupid. We transact in the real life in the US dollar, a stable coin, or a euro, whatever it is. Our digital store of value collateral is Bitcoin. And then these are the networks that operate. So, and it's more akin to owning shares than it is owning a currency. but we never were
What
allowed
is the
to use
rev-
those terms because the SEC would put us in prison. But but that's really what it is. It's a share of network.
And the revenue is just the gas fees paid in that world, because I think people,
because they're all priced by Metcalfe's law. So Metcalfe's law is the number of active users and then the total value transacted on the network. So it's applications, it's DeFi, it's stable coins, it's all of the things. It's network fees, but it's definitely not fees. This is the mid-curve discounted cash flow way of looking at it. It's nonsense. All of these things are Metcalfe's law.
No, I get what you're saying. I just feel like DeFi with native L1s as is kind of moving away. DeFi this cycle has really been about stable coins and revenue from, let's say, perp protocols or other, like, let's say, more risky elements of trading. The idea of like yield farming with the L1, like, it feels like it's gone away from that. That's why I kind of feel like these stable coins have actually had a bit of a shout again.
So stable coins add value to the network layer because you're transacting either small or large transactions, right? Tether does huge transactions, and that gives Tron its value. There's no other value to Tron except the fact that this massive network keeps transacting enormous volumes on it. So I do think that there's plenty of long-term holders of these underlying assets and they want to do stuff. Like in equities, you can lend your equities out into the loan markets, or you can borrow against equities. It's the same thing. And we've got that in, but right now people don't have a lot of money. And so you kind of make a choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I hope that L1s come back with this. A lot of the other sectors have not really done well. I do feel like L1s is something that if Bitcoin breaks back through all-time highs, those will be, I mean, they were all trading amazing very recently because you had the whole ETF narrative coming through for all of them, and it really felt like it was going to be Bitcoin's ETF narrative come back for ETH, which is then going to now be Solana, which could then be Sui, Hype, all the major L1s were going to have this. That's slightly drifted away. What do you make of that trade now as well? Like, if you've seen, but Strategy is now trading at its 18-month low for its MNAV. It's down 60% versus Bitcoin since the start of the year.
So if you look at it across the board, it's telling you there's no money flowing in. Look at the growth of stablecoins. It's been stable since the summer, right? So we've got no money coming into the crypto economy. So over time, people need to pay bills, realize stuff, and foundations need to sell tokens and all of those things, and the number go down because we've not had liquidity in the crypto economy. So I just don't want to confuse that with it's the death of layer ones. It's nothing's going to work. DeFi is not going to happen. It's like, no, it's just a slow economy right now in crypto land. We've gone through a slow patch. That's how I think about it. So I don't.
You're not worried about this DAT train unwinding it. There was ETHZilla, which sold 40 million ETH this week, which is the first of the ETH DATs to come in.
I think the big ones
protect its MNAV.
I think the big ones know what they're doing, and the smaller ones could get messy. I mean, I've never liked this DAT trade. In the end, a few people will figure it out, but it's so complicated. If anybody can understand the capital structure of MicroStrategies without some PhD in nuclear physics, I mean, it's so ridiculous. I just think there's no such thing as free money generally, and as soon as people think there's free money, everything goes to shit. And
you were never approached by DAT. I feel like you would have been.
I got approached by
some.
I got approached by outside of the ETH and MicroStrategies. I got approached by pretty much every single one.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And to lead them, and I'm like, I'm not going on the board of a US company. I live in the Cayman Islands. It's tax free. I'm not doing that. And also, I'm like, I'm not really comfortable with these. Now, again, they're not terrible, and people will figure it out. But I think we have to go through some pain in these. But also, the DATs are showing you there's not much money flowing into the crypto economy either. So the premium ability has gone down as well. So it's telling us something about liquidity flows in markets.
Yeah, I agree. The DAT is really a speculation trade as well, right? Like when everything starts to trade at like 1.5 to 2 times MNAV, it's when everyone thinks crypto is about to change the world and we're about to do all these crazy things on the equity side of the business. I think it could get a little bit messier with some of these lower quality ones. I do think that luckily all the biggest stats are trading fine. Like Bitmine is trading fine. SharpLink, I still think is trading okay. I'm talking about relative to their MNAV here, not outright stock price. And MicroStrategy is still trading above 1. It's still trading above 1. So the trade can still go. But yeah, for some of the smaller ones, I saw today that 10% of all of ETH supply has now been bought by the DATs and by the ETFs. How insane is that? And it's still only briefly touched an all-time high. And this trade has really gone on for the last 6 months.
I had a thesis from the last cycle that this cycle would end up having a shortage of ETH because of the burn mechanism. And then if you start locking up ETH like this in vehicles that aren't going to sell very quickly, you end up with a shortage of the stuff. So it gets very convex. So it feels like it could do that. It kind of breaks 5,000 before it's trading 10 in like a month.
I mean,
doubled in a month already.
10%. And this kind of started happening in May, right? Like maybe April, we started to see some of the big inflows happening into the ETH ETF. So the 10% of the whole supply to be bought in roughly 6 months less, if that can continue even somewhat, even just the ETF side of the business, like
so 10% moved it. Put the percentages on from the bottom to the peak.
Yeah, to be fair, it did from around the time we started to see big ETF inflows, which is around 1,500, I would say. So it did do about a 3x.
So a 3x, so 300%. So there's your gearing, right? 10%, and you accumulate 10%, the market goes up 300%.
200%. Yeah.
200%.
Yeah. I guess so. And I think in some ways you could see that as like slightly bearish that it wasn't able to keep get to all-time high, but it also only happened in 5 or 6 months. And I think the ETF, I think the DAT trade, as we've just said, probably goes through a bit more of a challenging period here, but I think the ETFs will come back. They'll come back as soon as you start to get some FOMO again in Bitcoin. I think you'll get it come back in the ETFs.
And we also know what a supermassive black hole crypto is for investors the moment it starts really accelerating, because the returns dwarf even the tech stocks, and it starts sucking capital in. All of the traders come back from trading equities. The equity guys have their eye on crypto, and before and now they've got ETFs to trade. It starts becoming a much bigger thing. I do think we'll see that reversal of attention, because the markets can only carry so much attention with only so much money in the market right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think we'll definitely have that. There'll be a rotation of attention back to crypto. I think gold. I expected it to happen when gold kind of sold off, and it didn't, which again made me think, right, we're still in this 4-year cycle, technical sell-off for a little bit, but it does look like an outlier, very much so at the moment.
I feel like gold's going to go again.
I love gold. I think gold's going to keep going higher.
Yeah, I think it's going to go higher. And I think of gold as Bitcoin 6 months ahead. And if that is the case, if that continues, then the higher gold goes for longer, the further the rally extends into next year for crypto. That's how I look at it.
I have always been a little bit surprised at that. There's 2 different kind of camps in crypto, which is like, we hate gold, we've got the better gold, and the other one, which is, this is like our friendly cousin that rallies for the same reasons that we do. I'm definitely in the second camp of like, I like it when gold goes higher because I think it's good for Bitcoin. But there's some people who are like, I think it's obviously because there are certain characters in the gold community that hate Bitcoin that it leads to that. But
the gold community, there's so many curmudgeons in it. That's the problem, is like
curmudgeon. What? I've never heard of that before.
Curmudgeon. It's like miserable old gits.
Oh right, yeah,
angry old man shaking fists at sky. Peter Schiff. I mean, basically that, and it's full of them. But you're right. Gold does a job, which is to maintain store of value over time, and it's done it brilliantly. It basically rises with the amount of debasement of currency there is on a global basis. Perfect.
Yeah, I look at it now and I kind of feel like that is an up only chart for the next few years.
But you see, you go over to the gold crowd with your arms open wide and say, "Come to me, brother," and they just kick you in the nuts and walk off.
Yeah, that is it. That is it. And I think some people have tried for too long to do it. So I see there is the pool table behind you with the banana on it. What is your banana zone prediction now for the next 18 months? You think you similarly think it's going to be a strong
I mean, look,
December,
the last time, it's very misunderstood. When we talked about the banana zone, we said, right, okay, the phase 2 starts. It started in April, and it went up. Everything doubled or tripled from then, and then pulled back. And we've got this weird liquidity period. I just think nothing changes. The market, I'm very bullish. I think it goes up a lot over the next 12 months based on liquidity in the Everything Code framework. And so nothing really's changed for me. The only thing that sometimes changes is time horizon. It's like, well, I didn't expect the government to shut down for the longest period in history, but we've got to deal with that. And that means they can't draw down the TGA. Okay, we need to deal with that. But other than that, I mean, when I just look at these markets, let's go share a chart here. Where are we? So if I just look at, SUI, that's my main position still. It's, as you said, it's just been in this, it's a year. It's exactly a year. It's been at the same price. But it went up to 5.5 and it's been down to wherever that got down to, 1.65, but it's just choppy. And when I see patterns like this, usually they resolve higher, 70% of the time. So there's a 30% chance it doesn't and the market's topped and we're all morons. That's fine. I've lived with that before enough times in my life. But when I look at something like that, it looks just pretty obvious. And, Solana, it's just pretty obvious.
Yeah.
To me, it's just, knowing what we know about the macro, looking at those charts, looking at like Ethereum. I mean, these are nice charts.
Yeah, they show ranging for a period of time, which we kind of we realize in crypto you just have to have insane patience because the real gains are made in like
and
2 or 3 months where you everyone's given up.
And realized volatility in Bitcoin and ETH is like in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
So historic vols are super low. Implied vols are actually pretty low as well now, about 40 or whatever. So things like IBIT calls for the year-end rally, talking about
let's do some call spreads.
That's right. That's what's in my head. That's what's in my head. We put some on for GMI last month, but I'm like, I can't see a reason why I wouldn't add to that trade because you buy some calls, you lose a couple of percent. Fuck, we deal with that every day in the market going up and down. Nobody cares. So you stick in a couple of percent on the IBIT calls. If you get it right, you can make some serious money. Because if you look at the back end rallies, if they come, it's generally about 100% in it.
You can do with some prediction markets too, though, as well, right? I know calls is one way, but prediction markets have kind of have that option like.
Well, let's see if we can pull it up.
There is some, I think, because MicroStrategy is still calling for this 150K by year end trade. I think Polymarket has a line there, maybe 150K if I type it in. Yeah, so you will get. I mean, it's only a 13% odds that it will hit 150K by December 31st. So that's.
I mean, that's
7x. That's a 7x, 7.5x if you get it right.
That's a very attractive bet.
Right. That's a pretty good bet.
I've been looking at this because volatility has come down because that basically people don't realize is the prediction market is basically binary options.
Yeah, they're binary options. Yeah.
Now, I don't know whether that's cheaper or more expensive. Let me see if I can bring up the IBIT calls.
I'm sure some people are. I know a bunch. I mean, apparently the top liquidity providers on things like Polymarket, particularly for this sort of stuff, is like Susquehanna.
Oh, so they're properly priced. But I'm not sure that
there's guys who are really doing this. Yeah.
And is there arbitrage of it? So they need to make proper markets, or is it ripping off retail with bad odds?
Well, it's kind of like Betfair in that like you're only facing against somebody else, so there's not like you're not taking huge margin on any of the trades. So I actually think the pricing is probably relatively good, if I'm honest. But I think any arbitrage between that and like where it's trading at in the options market is probably dealt with. Similarly on sports books, like they've got pretty good people like coming in and providing liquidity for the sports books too. So you're starting to get pretty good options essentially with these products.
Okay, so I'm just looking at the IBIT calls. Let's change the strike price to 80.
150K by December 31st, and it's 13%. That is basically a 7.5 to 8x, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many options are going to give you that? That seems good.
I know. That's what I've been saying. Is like this is the trade that Everest Capital used to put on every year. It's the same trade. The market underprices it bizarrely every time, and I don't know why. And even if it doesn't work out, you stick a small amount in.
Yeah.
Then you're fine. That's all you lose. You lose your premium.
Yeah. Put 10 grand on that. 8x if you're right. And so, obviously you have the chance to trade out of it. Like Polymarket is relatively liquid, that you can trade out of it.
And you got 25 to 1 for 170s. I don't think there's been a rally less than 70% in these kind of crypto years. So that it's cheap.
Yeah, I actually think you've hit the nail on the head though. Like this prediction market, because increasingly people are doing prediction markets around the price of major crypto assets, and I think there's going to be some decent opportunities here.
And you
people
can
who are not pricing these correctly, or
well, you can also do call spreads in those, can't you? Essentially,
you probably could, yeah.
You buy and sell, right?
Yeah, buy and sell, yeah.
So you could probably get that bet even cheaper.
Yeah, you could even do call spreads in terms of timing as well. Yeah,
calendar calls, yeah.
Calendar calls, yeah.
People have no idea what we're talking about, but I can tell by your face you're now nerding out on the idea.
Yeah, of course. Like this is you could do this. You could do this for sure. Maybe I should spend the day like doing some calendar calls. You should definitely do that for Real Vision, just for fun. You know, this is like it's quite. I'm sure, like even if you don't understand options, like this is very simple for people to understand. I think.
Yeah, much easier than an option because you just
way easier.
You stick in $1,000, and if you lose it, you lose your $1,000, and if not, you make $7,000. Okay, fine. It's easy to understand.
You need to hire an options guy to come in here and do Polymarket. That would be good. That'd be good content, I think, for Real Vision.
It's really interesting. I hadn't thought about using Polymarket for markets so much as
sure, like
other events.
Bitcoin, ETH, all the major. They're basically doing this on between Kalshi and Polymarket. A good options person would know what to do with British.
And can we use our crypto to use them, or do we have to use cash?
I mean, you'll be pleased to know that Kalshi accepted SUI stablecoins and SUI from yesterday, I think.
So you can
Kalshi and Polymarket both accept most chains now. Plus they have integrations into the major wallets now, so you can like do it via certain wallet providers. It's very easy now to do this sort of stuff.
I like this. It's your face is hilarious. You're just going, I need to look at this.
Why not? I mean, I like to have a little flutter. Let's see what we can do here. There's definitely money to be made. I don't know if you can do it in massive size. Is what I'm saying. Like you wouldn't be able to put on like millions of dollars here. But if you're just looking for like some fun stuff that you could put out, and particularly if your portfolio you want to just keep some Bitcoin, or you want to keep some of your major spot assets, but you want to, you have that degen energy, you don't want to do it in meme coins, maybe this is what you do your degen stuff in,
So here's another question for you. Do you think if the cycle is extended, Bitcoin gets to 250,000?
I think Bitcoin's up only, man. I just don't, I'm not as big. Like when I zoom out on most major assets since 2008, I don't see cycles in them, particularly if you smooth them out on like quarterly performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, monthly you have these like horrific wicks, which then just get dealt with QE. But like, my honest view is that if you have a zoom out chart of Bitcoin in 10 years' time, like it's just up and to the right.
I mean, it's the Amazon chart's the same, and Microsoft's they're all the same. Just keep going out. So the reason I ask is talking about prediction markets. We've got this super cool promo going on with Divan. You've met the Divan guys, the white people. So what they're doing, they're going to run a competition on Real Vision, and they're doing it, I think, with Animoca as well. But we get a limited amount, which is it's all about wine, obviously. So what we've got is it's called Bubbles for Bubbles. And if Bitcoin hits 250,000, it triggers something. So you buy a bottle of this wine. It's incredible grower champagne, so fancy champagne, the kind of stuff that I like. You pay $150 for it, which is undervalued for the quality of the wine. Then that bottle is a smart wine. So the smart wine has an AI agent attached to it that tells you all about the wine, its journey, everything that goes with it. It's got a digital cork technology, which is when it's opened, you register it. The bottle is now been registered, been opened by you, etc., and it creates a community around wine owners and connects them to the vineyards. And so there's kind of this whole digital deed of ownership of wines and stuff that goes on. Tons of stuff. The bottle does that. So it's the first smart bottle ever. And we've done some cool shit with Divan. What we're doing is if it hits 250,000, everybody opens it at the same time and creates this community. So everyone celebrates the bubble with bubbles. So that's kind of fun. And then one of the winners will get a $50,000 rare wine portfolio tokenized, which they can do what they want, because Divan does that too. It's got the infrastructure and the rails to tokenize not only bottles of wine in their logistics journey and the drinking journey, but also in the trading of wines. So it's all sorts of cool stuff integrated with AI. So there's 3,000 of these bottles left. You've got 5 days before it opens to the public. So Real Vision gets it first. Let me just read out what we're supposed to do. Go to smartwine.ai and use the passcode 42421, which is a bizarre passcode. Smartwine.ai 42421. I'm definitely going to be buying some wine because A, I like grower champagne, and B, I'd like the $50,000 of rare wine, and see, it's kind of fun. There's like a whole kind of chat amongst members when we hit 250. So it's just a
I'm a big wine and whiskey investor. I've been very, very big in it. They never approached me. They approached OSF. They approached you.
Really?
Divan, trust me, I'm deep in this game.
Okay,
I'm
so
very,
David
very
will be watching
game.
this, as will Jana, and they'll hit you up if you're big into wine, because I've done so much with them, with GMI, with Real Vision, with RVIP, everything. And I just love what they're doing, and the tokenization of wine, the whole wine infrastructure, the trading of it. It's just a big deal. And then the integration of AI. I mean, everyone's doing this. Is the blockchain AI nexus? And it's all coming together. So anyway, Real Vision people, grab some of the wine. You can only allowed up to 6 bottles, and you'll be able to drink it all when it hits 250,000. You can drink it when you want, and you might get more. Awesome. That is a binary option. That's probably, I don't know how that's priced. Yeah. Hold on, let's think this thing through. Actually, so if this were a binary option, you're paying
Here we go.
You're paying $150 for a 1 in 3,000 chance of $50,000. And then there's also, there's like 50 memberships to Club Divan as well.
So it's basically free.
It's basically free.
Free option to
basically 100% guarantee.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a salesman for this already. We should get to. I think we also have some questions from the audience. Let me see if I can.
We just kept chatting amongst ourselves.
I know. I tend to do this occasionally, and then I get shouted at.
Well, I haven't caught up with you in ages, so it's just like it's good to have a chat.
No, yeah, of course. Well, we haven't had an all-time high for a while, so.
No, but also I've not seen you in person for ages.
I know, I've been around. But
we've been I've been a lot of NFT events.
I thought you were going to be in Singapore, but you weren't that. And I was in Korea before that, and then there hasn't been a Real Vision event.
No, that's coming up. Everyone will get the announcement shortly. It may have just been announced. It's going to be in January.
So I'll come to that
in Miami. That'll be amazing.
I was just in Miami, so but I'll come again.
I was at the art event in Marfa, which was fun.
Oh, you did that?
Oh yeah, okay. We myself and my girlfriend hosted the big Friday night party.
Oh wow,
it was hilarious. We had artists like Die with the Most Likes doing a karate exhibition as Alfonso Knutson.
Oh, I think I saw videos of that.
Yeah. We had Beeple's Robot and Beeple. All these artists were in a Connect 4 competition to see who was the world's greatest artist at Connect 4. We did all sorts of stupid shit. We had all sorts of fun. And
Martha's, is that going to be the final one, or are we going to do it again?
No, they're doing it again.
Oh, we're going to do it again. Okay, cool. I didn't know if that was like because it was the end of the curated series, that was it. But awesome. Yeah, maybe I'll come to that next time. I know OSF went to one.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Right, I've got the questions. So
right, go for it.
This is an interesting one. Anthony on our RV website, given the pace of AI innovation, have you thought about what happens when aging is effectively solved? Longevity tech seems to be advancing fast. How do you see the world functioning when lifespan is no longer a constraint? You've been exploring this a little bit recently.
Yeah, a lot. The issue I've got with this one, the answer you have to answer all of this stuff is, I don't know. What happens when we live to 150 years old, but there's no work to be done? I mean, I don't really know what that means and how it affects economies, because at that stage we were in an abundance economy because of AI and robots, so we don't need to work. So it's weird. I don't know, but that's what we talk about all day on the Exponentialist, which is the other products on Real Vision, where we talk about this stuff. I
did my metabolic age last week. Actually, we did a whole blood test, VO2 max, scans, everything.
What were you, a 72-year-old man?
I came back at 26.
Wow.
Yeah. So I gained like 8 years, but my Whoop tells me that I'm only like 1 year. So, but yeah, I was pleased with that.
I enrolled in Fountain Life, which is the Peter Diamandis, Tony Robbins longevity clinics. And you go there, it's expensive, it's like 20 grand. But you go there, they do like every test possible that you could ever imagine, state of the art, all with AI stuff built into everything. And then you've got your concierge of doctors and advisors and specialists, and it's really amazing. Whether it means I live longer or not, it's a different matter.
I love this stuff. I think it's great. I think it's cool. You feel good afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't really know where life goes when that sort of stuff happens. I'm just hoping that it happens. Okay, we already spoke about that. More details on the IBIT calls, please. Where would you buy IBIT calls?
So they're on the CBOE, I'm guessing, or NASDAQ. Actually, I don't know. Let me have a look. So I'm looking at
there's big crypto platforms you can do this with, though, right? Like Deribit, which I think was bought by one of the major.
Deribit, that's right. But you can buy. I mean, these are just basic. You buy them on Robinhood, right?
Yeah, you can buy
straightforward. Robinhood. I would look for buy the 30 Delta calls out for January, because as we both said, it probably goes out to Jan. Where's the Delta? I can't see it on here. 30 Delta. 30 Delta buys you the 73 calls, and IBIT's at 62. Yeah, I mean, I just look at those things, and they cost 2%.
Yeah,
it's not much.
Nice. Pretty nice.
Yeah, it's not much. They're cheap, and volatility, as I said, is like 48 or something, and usually the stuff trades at 70.
Yeah, that I would say that crypto vol looks cheap given what I think is going to happen at the end of this year.
Which is that Kelsey trade, because I mean that trade is that's the easiest one to do, is the 150 strike of the
like whatever happens, the 4-year cycle's over in December. Like, you've got to assume that we have some sort of a breakout. Okay, I think that's it. We have maybe one more. We have Robert saying loves the banana that you've racked with the pool balls, and then Richard has said, why did Raoul choose Denia at Costa Blanca as the reason to relocate to Spain?
Denia.
Denia.
Choose Denia in the Costa Blanca.
I went near there recently. I messaged you, didn't I?
Yeah, that's right. Why did I choose that? Because a friend of my parents had a house for sale in a town called Gandia, which I ended up buying. And it was before 9/11. I could commute backwards and forwards to Spain on weekends and stuff. And then I ended up buying a place. My parents had moved to a town called Javia. And so I bought a house there. It's just a very nice area.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice out there. It's more authentic, I tend to find, than some of the other areas of Spain that I've been to recently.
Yeah, it's nice.
I went to San Sebastian though recently as well. I like that a lot.
That's very nice, but it's starting to get overrun with Americans. It's the kind of whole Anthony Bourdain effect that it's like on so many TV shows now that everybody goes, "Hey, we got to go to San Sebastian." It's like,
for sure. Yeah, I didn't necessarily get the feeling that the natives liked the tourists that much.
No. I went, I've been many times over the years, and the last time I went was 2 summers ago, and you couldn't even get into any of the good places. Bar, not even the 3-star Michelin restaurant, just the nice Pinchos bars. You couldn't even get in. It was just crawling with tourists. And it's like, that's not good.
Not cool anymore.
Not cool. But Valencia, you went to Valencia, didn't you? You like Valencia?
Yeah, that's what I said. I liked it. I went. I was only there for one night, but I've been there before. I like that. It's got a nice vibe to it. It just feels like it's a well-structured town. I could live around there.
It's a bit Lisbon-y, but it's a bit, but like a Spanish element. It's a great place, and it's got mountains, it's got sea, and you're across the water from Ibiza.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking my language. Okay. Well, this was it, Raoul. Thanks so much for coming on. I guess we'll book it for late November, early December, the next one.
Obviously. So I can come. Just have me in the back of the mind, hanging by the goal, ready to just tap it in and take the glory.
And we'll put on all the poly market trades and say that they all hit by that point. All right. Well, it's great to have you on, and enjoy Little Cayman, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. All right, mate. Great to see you. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Binance is the world's #1 crypto exchange. Over 275 million users already trust their world-class security. Binance makes starting crypto as simple as it should be. Whether learning about crypto on Binance Academy or browsing hundreds of assets and viewing your newly created portfolio in a clear, easy-to-track dashboard, Binance helps you go at your own pace. For the hardcore traders, Binance Pro opens a industry-leading services for trading professionals with fully bespoke trading products, along with a suite of white glove services for VIP and institutional clients. Need support? 24/7 customer service is on hand whenever you need it. And with some of the lowest fees and deepest liquidity in the market, it's no surprise over 285 million users trust Binance for everything crypto. Download Binance today and get started in minutes. Binance is not available in certain countries, including the US. Check its terms for more.